Hey there, we are in Vegas. As you can see there's the strip. Yeah, first tournament of the year is coming in mid-January. It's gonna be another like 3.5 months before I play in another tournament. So this is kind of like a one-off tournament. I mostly am doing this because I really wanted to play the course that this tournament is being played at, the Paiute Resort, which I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like 30 minutes northwest of the Strip here in Vegas. Pete Dye designed courses. We're going to be playing the Wolf in the first round and then the Sun Mountain in the second round. So excited to play those two courses. It's not really warm outside, although it is better than the big snowstorm we're getting back home. So thankful for that. But like the highs are going to be in like the mid 50s, low to mid 50s, and it being a desert, that means it's probably going to be closer to like 40 when we tee off. So yeah, not warm, but I have played in worse weather than that, so we'll deal with it. But yeah, excited to play this tournament, excited to see how things go. I don't expect my game to be great considering it's mid-January and that's not really prime time for us northerners to have our games, at their peak. So we're gonna keep the expectations low here. We'll see what happens. I have hit the simulator a few times, but simulator doesn't really, replicate the turf interaction or the different lies you get when you play on an actual course. Last time I did that was, I think, late November, so it's been a little bit. We'll see what happens. But before we do that, before we play some golf, we need to maybe do a little tourism, see the sights a little bit. So let's do that, and then we'll see how the first round goes. Super Bowl Stadium in like less than a month. Pretty big, pretty cool. All right, so round number one of this two-day tournament played on the Wolf course. It was a shotgun start. My group, we started on the 13th hole, which was a par 5, and started off pretty decently. Ended up parring par 5. It was a shorter par 5, scoreable, had a birdie putt, but just couldn't get it to fall. But it was basically a tap-in par, which I will take every single hole that I play, basically, especially at the start of a round, just because last year, if you followed along with my Road to the Zealot series, I had a lot of trouble. It was a troubling trend where I was basically starting off basically every single tournament round that I played with like a double bogey. Like I just got off to notoriously bad and slow starts in tournament rounds. So to get a par, to start the tournament and to start this round, take that every single time. I was happy, I was content with that. And then the next hole ended up, green in regulation, on and two. It was a long putt. It was basically, I had putt basically the length of the green, so it wasn't really close, but I was on the green in two and set up for, another par. Well, unfortunately, that's where things kind of took a turn for the worst in this round. I ended up putting it basically off the green and into kind of a little bit of a collection area and ended up making a double bogey from there. So it goes from, looking like, hey, I've got a great chance at a, par start to, okay, we got a double bogey here on the second hole. Yeah, that was disappointing. And that was kind of a theme for this round. I just really struggled with the greens and getting the pace right. And that was a long putt. And then being January and in the winter and not really having a whole lot of time and ability to kind of practice pace at this time of year, that didn't help. But I just couldn't figure out the pace of greens, whether it was long putts or short putts. Like it was very weird. There were plenty of putts where I thought I hit perfect pace and they were either too long or too short. Like it confused me. Like I really struggled on the greens in this round. That was just kind of the first example of it. I had, I think, 39 putts for the round. So yeah, it was bad. It was not good. But yeah, so double bogey on the second hole, but we can recover. We're fine. It's still early, plenty of golf left. Third hole we played was the signature island green hole, which honestly, I feel pretty comfortable with island greens. Like I just have a knack, no matter how bad my round is going or how I'm playing, I always seem to have a knack of hitting island greens for whatever reason. I don't know, but this one didn't quite go well. I hit the right club. It was into the wind. I clubbed up. It was the right club. I hit it where I was aiming. I just kind of pulled it just a tad bit. I was planning for a fade, it never faded, and it just barely went into the water, just left of the green. I hit the same exact shot, you know, same club, aim point and everything for my second shot off the tee, and it faded and it hit to like 10 feet of the pin. So I feel like I did everything right. The execution was just a tad bit off. So instead of having a par, because I two putted, it was like a 10-footer downhill kind of sidewinding kind of putt. I was able to two putt for what should have been a par, you know, if the execution was just a tad bit better on the first shot, but instead I have a double bogey. So 2 double bogeys in the first 3 holes after starting with a par. Not great. And basically that just kind of continued for the rest of the round. I could not get off the tee for whatever reason. Struggles on the green and then struggles on the tee basically doomed me for the rest of the round. My driver, which I had been hitting great in simulators this winter, hitting it great on the range to start the round, and then all of a sudden during the round, I'm topping it. Like every single time. And I'm not talking about the tops where the ball still travels like 100 yards. I'm talking about I'm topping it like a swinging bunt where the catcher still makes the play. The ball trickled barely off the tee box. It was that bad, and that happened multiple times, and the few times it didn't, it was off the planet. Like it was so bad off the tee. I just took so many strokes, or wasted so many strokes off the tee in this round, and that led to finishing with a 98, which I had low expectations for this tournament in my play, but that is atrocious. It was a bad first round, and it left me in 18th place out of 22 players in my flight going into round 2. Basically, my chances of, you know, winning the tournament basically went out the window. My shot at getting into the money was slim to none, and at this point, like I said, expectations were low, but this was beyond it. So heading into round 2, obviously, I wasn't happy with what happened in round 1. Thankfully though, I kind of got a little bit of confidence at the end of the first round, just in the sense of the second to last hole. It was a drivable par 4, which if I was hitting my driver well, I would have hit it, but obviously my driver wasn't working. And I was thinking about just hitting a 4-iron, and then the thought occurred to me like why don't we just try and hit a 3-wood here and see what happens. The funny thing is, I used to hit my 3-wood off the tee all the time back a couple years ago, before I kind of figured out my driver for a little bit and started hitting that off the tee. I'm comfortable hitting the 3-wood off the tee, but I hadn't hit it off the tee for a number of years now, just because I've been focused on hitting a driver which goes longer. Now I can hit my 3-wood quite well, but when I hit my driver well, like it goes farther, so why not hit that? Right? At the end of the first round, I hit my 3-wood on the second to last hole, and you know, I smoked it, and it went like 10 yards short of the green. So I thought, okay, going into round 2, why don't we just hit my 3-wood off the tee for the entire round? Considering my driver's not working right now, let's hit the 3-wood, see how that goes. Like it couldn't go any worse than round 1, right? So I did that. Similar to round 1, started on a par 5 for round 2. Same thing basically, ended up parring it, had a birdie look, couldn't quite get to drop, but basically a tap in par. So, and then kind of just, instead of melting away like I did in round 1, I end up kind of just keeping it pretty steady for the entire round 2. Now I made mistakes here and there, but for the most part, you know, I was pretty much cruising along, and it basically all was because I could actually get off the tee. The 3-wood was working, even with the winds popping up. The winds weren't really a factor in round 1, which made my score in round 1 that much worse, but the wind really kind of picked up in round 2, and even with it though, I was able to kind of get through it, and played pretty well and ended up with an 85, which was the second best round of the day in my flight and also the third best round of the tournament for my flight. So really pleased with how I played in round 2. There's shots I wish I had back. I could have been a lot better. It's just tough to not have rust up here in the Midwest in January. But yeah, pretty happy with round 2, and that vaulted me all the way up to an 8th place finish for the tournament, which it's a little disappointing because I was 2 shots away from the money. So, round 1, 98 turns into a 96 even, which still isn't good. I'm in the money. A little frustrating in that sense, but very happy with kind of finishing off the tournament on a high note. And as I mentioned, I had low expectations going into this tournament. Round 1 did not meet expectations at all. Round 2 certainly exceeded expectations, and then basically salvaged like the overall expectation that I had for this tournament. 8th place finish here in January. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. It would have been really nice to get into the money, but yeah, round 1 doomed me, and it is what it is. Hindsight's always 20/20. If I would have just hit 3 wood off the tee in round 1, probably guaranteed to have been in the money. Hindsight's 20/20. Anyhow, yeah, this was a one-off tournament. Have like 3.5 months before the actual kind of tournament season starts for me, and my road to Zelich starts essentially. But I wanted to get out and play this course. I enjoyed the course. It was a fun course to play at. I'm glad I did it. Good experience. We'll learn from it. We'll get better. We got some time. We're gonna work on things, and we'll go from here. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video a little bit. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate that as always, but most importantly, stay safe, make good decisions, and yeah, don't top the ball off the tee. It's not a good strategy. Hit them straight.